Do you know why I stopped you? 6 words through your window, easy as small talk. The torch settles on your hands, and somewhere behind you, the radio murmurs to itself. On the passenger seat, there's a folded street directory your father gave you 20 years ago. You keep it there long after the phone replaced it, the way you keep a lot of his advice. And your mouth is already opening because you're helpful, because you were raised to answer a direct question from a person in uniform. Here's what nobody has ever told you about this moment. In Australia, your silence at that window is protected by law, an actual section of an actual act. Your words are protected by nothing. Whatever you say next walks straight into the police notebook, and from the notebook into a statement of facts, and from there into a courtroom wearing your own voice. One phrase answers this question safely. 4 words. And there's one thing this question is doing to you that almost nobody spots. The 4th job. And it's the one that decides how tonight ends. Hold still in that torchlight for a second, because the architecture of this moment deserves a proper look. The question sounds like a formality. It is not a formality. It's an invitation, open-ended, friendly, completely optional, for you to explain yourself. And the reason it works on almost everyone is that it doesn't feel like a legal event. It feels like a quiz. Your brain hears, "Do you know why?" and starts scrolling the last 10 minutes. The roundabout, the overtake, that stretch past the school where the limit drops. Was I speeding? Was it the tail light? And whichever guess wins the race to your mouth becomes the first entry in tonight's record. Not his observation. Yours. Volunteered, unprompted, on a body-worn camera that was rolling before he reached your door. The question costs him nothing to ask. Your answer can cost you the next 6 months. So before we touch a single word of law, plant this one idea and let it grow through everything that follows. This is the only question at the window where the safest, correct answer is that you don't offer one. 4 jobs. That question is doing. Job 1 is already reaching for your wallet. Now, the ledger. Because this channel deals straight. Half of what happens at that window is genuinely not optional. You stopped. Good. That's the law. In New South Wales, police can direct a vehicle to stop. Refusing runs into Section 39 of the Police Powers Act. Up to 50 penalty units, 12 months, or both. You'll hand over your licence and state your name and address, because Section 175 of the Road Transport Act compels exactly that from a driver, on demand, no suspicion needed. If a breath test comes, you blow. If the swab comes, you swab. Refusing either is its own offence, and it's treated as seriously as failing, and you never, ever get physical about any of it. Hindering police is Section 546C of the Crimes Act, and it turns a warning into a conviction. That's the full list. Stop, licence, name and address, breathe. Notice what isn't on it. Nowhere in the law of this state is there a section compelling you to answer, "Do you know why I stopped you?" The musts run out precisely at the edge of that question. Everything past your name is a gift, and there are no magic words either. Anyone selling you a script that makes police disappear is selling you a worse night than the one you're already having. What there is a line. The musts sit on one side. That question sits on the other. Job 1. The admission harvest. Here's the machinery. Under the Evidence Act of New South Wales, Section 89, no unfavourable inference can be drawn from your silence when an investigating official asks you questions. Read that again slowly. Your silence cannot be used against you. Not as guilt, not as suspicion, not as anything. That's the shield, and it's real and it's yours. But Section 89 protects silence, and only silence. The moment you speak, you've stepped out from behind the shield. Your words come in under Section 81, the admissions rule. I was probably going a bit quick. Sorry, mate, is not an apology. In evidence law, it's an admission admissible against you, made to an investigating official in your own voice, time-stamped. At that window, before any arrest, the officer generally owes you no caution. The famous warning, anything you say may be used in evidence, arrives later in the night, if it arrives at all. The law's protection kicks in after arrest. The damage gets done before it. Silence, shielded, speech, harvested. That's job one. Job two, the timeline. Every offence the prosecution ever proves is built from elements, and one element sits under all of them. That you were driving that vehicle at that time, on that road. Sounds trivial. It isn't. It's their burden to establish. And do you know why I stopped you? Quietly invites you to establish it for them. I've just come from work. I was only on the highway 10 minutes. There's the when and the where, signed off by the only witness who was guaranteed to be in the car. Job three, the calibration. While you answer, you're being read. The speed of your speech, the smell on it, your eyes in the torchlight, your hands on the wheel, all of it becomes observation evidence. A nervous over-explainer photographs very differently in a notebook than a calm driver saying almost nothing. You cannot talk your way into looking innocent. You can talk your way into a second look. And job four, the one almost nobody spots, the scope widener. Your answer is never the end. It's the doorway to the next question. Say, just a couple of beers with dinner, and you haven't closed the topic, you've opened it. One volunteered sentence hands over the map of where to dig. 4 jobs. 1 friendly question. If you think a court will simply sweep away whatever you said, there's a man from Wellington you need to meet. His name was Lance Carr. On a night in Wellington, New South Wales, a constable confronted him about rocks that had been thrown. Carr had been drinking. He refused to say who threw them, and he swore. And for that, offensive language, an offence sitting at the very bottom of the penalty scale, he was arrested. A shouting match became a struggle. The whole night escalated out of one decision. It went to court, and the magistrate did something police did not expect. He excluded the evidence of everything that followed the arrest under Section 138 of the Evidence Act. Arrest, the court said, is a last resort, not a first move for something that trivial. And in 2002, the Supreme Court of New South Wales in DPP versus Carr upheld that principle. Now hear the rest of it, because this is the honest part, and reach over and touch that street directory while you do, because this is the page of the map nobody looks at until they're lost. Carr's win was partial. The fight took years, lawyers, appeals. Section 138 is real. It is a safety net, strung, discretionary and low, and you reach it only after the fall. The clean move was never to need it, which brings us, finally, to the 4 words. Here they are. I'd rather not guess, officer. Screenshot this. Say it out loud once tonight. Say it out loud once tonight in the kitchen, so on the road it arrives as memory instead of invention. Now look at the engineering, because every word is load-bearing. It admits nothing. There's no fact in it, nothing for Section 81 to harvest, nothing for a notebook to quote. It's not false, and this matters more than you'd think. The old advice, including on this channel, was a polite no, sorry. Sharper thinking retires it. No is a claim, a statement that you don't know. And if you plainly did know, it's a false denial. Courts have sometimes treated false denials as pointing toward a guilty mind. A lie can become an admission wearing a disguise. I'd rather not guess claims nothing. It's not obstruction. You're still handing over the license, still giving your name, every compellable thing compelled and delivered. Declining to speculate hinders nobody. And it's polite. No lecture, no right speech, no edge. On the body-worn footage, it reads exactly as it is. A calm person declining a guessing game. Then you stop talking. That's the hardest part. The silence after the phrase will feel enormous, and it belongs to him, not you. Let him fill it. But say the thing you're actually thinking. Won't refusing to answer make me look guilty? Won't he write down driver was evasive? Won't a magistrate one day quietly hold it against me? Answer it straight. Section 89 doesn't just permit your silence, it forbids the court from using it against you. No unfavourable inference. Not from a magistrate, not from a prosecutor. That's not a loophole. It's the design. Parliament wrote that section because looking guilty and being guilty are different things, and the law refuses to convict on the first one. Guilt is evidence, a reading on a machine. Guilt is a speed on a radar, a fact proven from their side of the ledger. It is not a tone of voice at a window at 10 o'clock at night. The officer may not love your answer. His preference is not a legal standard. Now watch him push anyway. They always push. Push one comes dressed as friendliness. Come on, mate, just between us. You know what you did. There is no between us. One of those evaporates by the time you're home. The other gets read aloud by a prosecutor. This is for you especially, the one raised to be agreeable. Declining to guess is not rudeness. Because last year, you answered. You guessed. You apologised at a window and drove home replaying it. Hear this properly. One roadside answer is not a conviction. Admissions can be challenged. There's a camera on his chest and a notebook in his pocket. Same 4 words, same level tone. I'd rather not guess, officer. Push 2 comes with the edge showing. So, you're going to make this difficult, are you? You're not. Difficult is refusing the breath test. Difficult is arguing, filming his face, getting out uninvited. You've done none of it. Every obligation met, every courtesy kept. Same 4 words, third and last time. I'd rather not guess, officer. That's the whole performance. But maybe you're watching this with your stomach sinking. This video speaks New South Wales. Victoria's Evidence Act mirrors the Silent Shield almost word for word. Queensland runs a different rulebook, no Section 89, but a statutory right to silence. Admissions can be challenged for reliability under Section 85, for fairness under Section 90. Through the Section 138 balancing that Carr walked. Discretionary doors, everyone. Hard to open, but doors. A guess is a bad card in your hand, not the whole hand. You have not blown it. And the next window is the one you can actually control. 2 drivers are about to show you what that control is worth. Same stretch of road, same night, 2 cars, 5 minutes apart. Illustration, not a case, but watch closely. Driver 1 winds down the window, already talking. Was it the speed? I was rushing. My daughter's got netball. I'm so sorry. I think I was doing maybe 95 in there. And the notebook drinks it in. Admitted excessive speed, self-reported route and destination. When his penalty notice arrives, the statement of facts carries his own sentence back to him, word for word. Contesting it means arguing with himself. Driver 2 wins down the window with her license already out. Evening officer. Do you know why I stopped you? I'd rather not guess, officer. License handed over, name, address, a clean breath test, a quiet minute while the radio does its work. Her page of the notebook, complied with all directions. Nothing else, because she gave nothing else. Maybe both drivers get the same ticket tonight. The phrase is not a force field, but one of them can put the prosecution to proof, make them establish every element without a shred of help. One of them wrote the case against himself in the first 15 seconds. Same road, same torch, one reflex apart. And if you want the number that makes this real, drift more than 45 over the limit in New South Wales, and police can suspend your licence on the spot, at the window, for 6 months, before any court sees anything. Now imagine having cheerfully confirmed the speed yourself. Now the part almost no video bothers with. What happens after the torch clicks off? Because that's where this is actually won. First, before you pull away, you're entitled to know who you dealt with. Under Section 202 of the Police Powers Act, an officer must provide their name and place of duty if you ask. Ask politely. Second, the moment you're parked somewhere quiet, your own driveway, engine ticking cool, write it down. Time, place, what he said, what you said, in whose words, in what order, whether the breath test came first and whether it passed. Sign it and date it, because signed notes made at 10:30 on the night beat a fading memory at a hearing 11 months later. Third, know that the record isn't only yours. His body-worn camera was running, and if the matter ever goes anywhere, a lawyer can get that footage, and everything you didn't say will be working for you. Fourth, the penalty notice itself. A ticket is not a verdict. In New South Wales, you can ask Revenue NSW to review it, or you can take it to court. And a court election puts the prosecution to proof. A court election puts the prosecution to proof on every element, which is precisely where the driver who stayed quiet holds the strong hand. And if something about the stop itself was genuinely wrong, the complaint paths are real. The Law Enforcement Conduct Commission. In New South Wales, IBAC in Victoria, the Crime and Corruption Commission in Queensland. A complaint costs you nothing but the writing, nearly home. What the question is really asking, one more time. Confess, timestamp yourself, show me your nerves, hand me the next topic. 4 jobs, 1 grin. What you owe, stop, license, name and address. The breath test, done without a flicker of attitude. What you don't owe, the guess. And the 4 words, once more, so they're yours for life. I'd rather not guess, officer. Then quiet. 1 border note before the porch light. This video speaks New South Wales. Victoria's Evidence Act mirrors the Silence Shield almost word for word. Queensland runs a different rulebook. No Section 89, but a statutory right to silence. The other states and territories each have their own sections, and every one of them, side by side, is in the book. Know your rights? Link below. All 8 jurisdictions in one place. This is general information, not legal advice. If a stop turns into anything more, the video ends and a lawyer begins, and legal aid exists in every state. Now send this one to the mate who narrates. You know exactly who. The one who'd answer, "Do you know why I stopped you?" With a full confession and directions to his house. He's the reason this video exists, and take the ending you've earned. The license handed back through the window, the torch clicking off, the street directory riding shotgun all the way home. Your father's advice still holding. Don't talk yourself into trouble. But when the officer leans in a little further and says he can smell alcohol, that's a different question with different machinery and its own exact words. That video is on your screen now.